Auto Show.
And hello, all of you wonderful car lovers out there, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we plan to share some information that will make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And we want to say thank you to all of you, and we appreciate you jumping in and riding with us with the CNC Auto Show. We are here to take your phone calls. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And that number again, 706-863-5800. You can also go to ccautoshow.com and watch the show live. You can email your question or watch past shows. That's all at ccautoshow.com. And since many of you are getting your vehicles ready to tow that boat, the camper, the motorcycles, the yard trailer,
all the toys.
Yeah, all the toys. We forgot to say Sea-Doos and jet skis and all of that stuff, and side by sides and all the good stuff. The toys that you have. We sprinkle some towing safety tips into today's show. We also have lots of other tips, a tech tip quiz, and much, much more. And a lot of the more is two awesome, and I mean awesome, guests that we have on the show with us today. And we're just about to talk to them. John Ryan, you ready?
Yeah, let's get them on the line.
Okay. We have Bart and Brendan Hickey on the phone with us, and they're two wonderful guests. And I'll mention first that this show is all about cars. It's all about the love of cars. It's about sharing that love of cars and the passion on cars. And these next two guests, they encompass all of that. Bart and Brendan, are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, going very well. Man, I feel like I know you. I called you the other day on the phone because we had watched a beautiful video. I mean, an unbelievable video. And as we were talking, it felt just like you were down the street from us. Yeah. And we were two shops just talking about cars a little bit. That was really neat.
Absolutely.
And first, I'm going to mention that Bart and Brendan Hickey are from Alsip, Illinois. And they are here. Part of the reason they're here because I love the family type part of it.
Right.
It's Bart and Brendan work together every day. They both love cars, and they have a friendship, a deep friendship also, along with working on the cars. And that part's very important. Bart, how did you get interested in cars?
I got interested when I was probably 11, 12 years old. My father died. And my mom had an older car, and every time it would break down, we'd take it to shops and pay a lot of money. And I figured if I could fix it, I could save us money. So I had family members that knew about cars and had them show me different things, and just got into it, to save money.
Uh-huh. And how long have you been working on cars?
Oh, probably since I was 12 years old, learned how, and friends of the family would show me different things, and always liked Popular Mechanics. I've been getting that since 1977.
Uh-huh.
That always had a lot of neat stuff in it.
Uh-huh. And Brendan, how long have you what type cars do you like to work on?
Myself?
Yeah.
I kind of take on some of the newer stuff. Definitely prefer some of the old school fun stuff, but I'm definitely the young guy, so I definitely like the new age. Like the new Gen 3 Hemis, all kinds of that new stuff. All the new Mopar stuff. I'm really into the newer, modern muscle era. Definitely right now that we're seeing here in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when I called to talk to you, you mentioned that Bart, when we were just talking, I said, well, how's Bart doing? You said he's over there putting a lug stud on a car and he's drilling it out or doing something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. We actually, I think you guys got those studs out yesterday, didn't you guys?
Yeah, for the tire carrier.
Yeah, it was a 95 Bronco, and if anyone that has a 95 Bronco knows about those tire carriers, we were taking them off, and all the bolts, pretty much all of them, snapped off on us. So we had to sit there and you have to be real touchy. You know, you got it's a painted area. You don't want to go too crazy with that heat.
Right. Wow.
You'll mess up the paint.
Now here's something that I'm gonna mention. Okay, we've talked about working on cars, and we've talked about drilling out the lug studs, and we've talked about the beautiful relationship that you two have. I had a relationship like that with my father, working with my father, loved it very much. That was kind of neat. But one thing I didn't mention, Bart has been blind since birth. Bart, how you have done so much, being able to do the things that you love to do on the cars. And I just want to tell you, I think that's absolutely amazing that you have been able to do all the things that you do. And it don't sound like that has slowed you down a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I can't do everything. I mean, I wouldn't want to use the torch.
And you have a sense of humor also. I think that's really I love that. Okay, now we're going to mention something else that come along. Bart, if I'm not mistaken, one of your dreams was to be able to drive a car. You've worked on cars, and from what I understand, you have a Dodge Dart. I forgot the year model of it, but you love that 69. Dodge. What year?
1969.
69, yeah.
Yeah, a 69 Dodge Dart. But you really wanted to drive a car, and something happened. Your dream was to drive the car, and I think Brendan's dream was to help you have your dream. And together, you two made it come true. What happened, and how did it come about?
It's through Mercedes-Benz. Probably, I don't even know, maybe 6 years ago, a friend of mine did a video on me about being blind and having a shop, and Mercedes-Benz saw this video, and they came and did one. And they're actually the ones that made it possible for us to go out and drive in the desert.
Yeah, and a little bit on that, you know, a lot of that comes from him his friend that he's talking about, Rocky, who did the original video and was kind of the inspiration for Mercedes to do their first video. You know, I mean, the main thing was, you know, we're always trying, you know, Rocky asked my dad, you know, hey, you know, you're really into cars, this and that. He's like, you know, what's like one of your number one dreams? And he said, well, you know, I'd love to drive my car here. So that kind of just, you know, ever since then, you know, him and Rocky, it kind of took off, and, you know, we're always working. I mean, I've probably been like at least 7 or 8, you know, it's going on, you know, like you said, 6 or 7 years here, trying to get him to be able to drive. And the original plan was the Bonneville Salt Flats. And, you know, I mean, in just the undertaking, it's obviously a pretty big project. You know, you got to, number one, find someone that's willing to sponsor you and say, hey, yeah, you know, that sounds like a good idea, getting a blind guy behind a vehicle.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, like, you know, the director that kind of brought all this together. It's not just Mercedes. It's also, you know, we have a lot of people that think in Germany. I mean, the Germans absolutely love my old man here. And,
it was absolutely a beautiful video. And what I'm hoping is that our listeners go to ccautoshow.com and watch your video. And I'm hoping that you two will call back at our second hour, and we will talk about the ride that you took and the fun that you have, because it was just awesome. And I've watched it at least 10 times, and I will say that I noticed it had over 1 million views. So, can you call us back in a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
That'd be great. We'll talk to you both then, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of the CNC Auto Show.
Car Care Studio with Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney.
I've been driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel. There's a voice in my head that drives my
and we are ready for your phone calls and questions about your car, truck, or SUV. And that number to call is 706-863-5800. You just lay that question on us. We'll be ready to answer it. And that's any Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And to watch the show live, you can go to ccautoshow.com. Now, we are talking about towing safety. And by towing safety, I don't mean having your car towed in.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how to tow something like a SUV or a boat. Well, tow something with your SUV or truck or other vehicle, and the trailer, and making sure everything's right. Now, here's one thing that you want to do, and that's to pack the trailer properly. Mm-hmm. Don't think that great big inner tube on the back of the boat is going to stay there at 60 and 70 mile an hour winds.
Yep,
it's not going to happen. And it may rip.
However, that's a good way to get a new one. Just follow that guy.
Yeah, just follow the person who has it laying there. And then also, if you got it tied off to those beautiful seats that's in that boat, and the wind gets under that balloon,
you might lose two things.
It may very well pull your seats out of the vehicle.
These are all true life experiences with Aaron.
I have seen many, many things, and
I was talking about it happened to you.
I'm not going to say that at all. Now, the other thing that you want to do is it's important to stay within the trailer's maximum load capacity.
Well, hopefully below it.
Yeah, or below it. That's that is big time important, and you want to know what that load capacity is. You can normally find that out from the owner's manual.
Yeah.
As you're reading through. And again, make sure that cargo's positioned properly, because there's people riding behind you, and those behind you don't want that mattress that you got laying in the back of the car, or that nice chair that you just bought somewhere.
Yep.
It's in the back of the trailer.
One thing to add to that is it's more important what your vehicle can tow. No doubt, the trailer's weight limits and everything are very good to know, but if it exceeds what your truck is, that doesn't necessarily matter. It needs to
and doing that, you not only can be unsafe because you may not have the right stopping power, but also it can be a lot of extra wear and tear on your vehicle. Mm-hmm. You can burn up a transmission, or burn up a rear end part, or something else on the vehicle, or blow out some tires just because you're overloaded with it. So you want to be very careful on that.
Yeah, because you could have a trailer that weighs, say, twice what the vehicle does and go down a mountain. Well, it doesn't matter what kind of brake system you have or anything. It's still going to push that truck or vehicle down the mountain.
Oh, and that we might as well go ahead and mention this. Keep those tires inflated. If you plan to tow something, make sure all the tires are inflated properly.
That's right.
And you may even have to up them up to sort of their maximum case. Okay, let's go ahead and do a tech tip quiz?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, here we go. We do have a tech tip quiz, and if you're the winner and have the answer, you'll receive the tech tip quiz prize package, which among a lot of other items, it includes a hat or a coffee mug. Also includes the I Answered the CNC Auto Show Tech Tip Quiz golf shirt, which is huge. Mm-hmm. Those are going very nicely on eBay and all the other things. Okay, here
Top
it is.
Seller.
Yes. Billy got off work at 10 p.m. only to find that his 2010 Ford F-250 truck would not spin over. He asked his girlfriend to come give him a ride home on her motorcycle. She came by and hit his truck with her Harley Davidson, and it made the truck start. How did hitting his truck with her Harley Davidson make his truck start? So if you know the answer to that, all you have to do is give us a call, and we will bestow upon you all of those beautiful prizes that we have.
Gotcha.
Okay, here we go. Now we need to do an email or two. Okay, here we go. My wife has 2014 Ford Explorer. We've noticed recently that the heat on the passenger side doesn't work. We've tried everything, messing with climate controls and all. The heat on the driver's side works well, but the air that comes out on the passenger side is extremely cold. To y'all know that what might be causing that, and if there's a simple solution, and I appreciate any help you guys can give. Thank you. Okay.
I would say, unfortunately, not necessarily a simple solution. What's most common, and it unfortunately is on quite a few of the Ford vehicles around that era, is the actuators that control the doors. That one does have dual climate control. So, obviously a passenger can be different than the driver. And if it's extremely cold, I would assume that's actual AC temperature rather than, the ambient temperature. It sounds like the door is not switching back and forth.
Right, it does.
But what a technician would do is put a scan tool in there, and we can actually monitor the positioning of the door to see where it is. It shows a count number that kind of lets the technician know where that door is. And obviously, if it's commanded one way or the other and the counts stay the same, the actuator's not turning. I'm not sure if the 14 models was one of the years that they actually improved those parts and updated them, but that does potentially sound like what's at fault.
A blend air door is probably going to be the
blend
problem.
door actuator, yeah.
Blend door actuator. Now, do you think that most of the time you have to, does that one require a dash removal, or can you get to that one without?
On the passenger side, if memory serves correctly, you do have to take the dash out.
Yeah.
Driver's side you can get to, but not the passenger side.
And the reason I mentioned that on that email is some blend air door actuators can be replaced without removing the dash. Some, they set that little actuator in the middle of a room and then built the car around it so you can't hardly get to them.
Right.
Okay, let's go to a phone call.
Well, we got about 1 minute left. Let's see if we can get an
can do
answer
it.
to
There's
a
no
tech tip.
doubt in my mind. Let's put them on stage first before you ever even do anything. Okay, so we with James?
Yep, with James.
Hey, James, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and it sounds like you may have an answer to our tech tip quiz.
Good morning, gentlemen.
And what can
when she hit the truck, it jarred the sensor loose, which was stopping it from turning over.
What sensor was it?
Cam sensor.
Hey, you were making up sensors, James. I could tell because you paused and
I've had that problem before.
You had a Harley Davidson hit your truck and made it start before?
No, I had a vehicle. It would not turn over, and I come to find out it was the cam sensor. They sorted it out.
That will do it. Okay. James, we really do appreciate it. That was good. Okay. We're going to have to take a real quick break. When we return, we'll be going to Ken and John and others and lots more of the CNC Auto Show, and we will be back after these messages.
Good stuff with Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney.
Just an old half-ton short bed Ford my uncle bought new in '64.
And we do want to welcome you back to the CNC Auto Show. We are here with you, ready to answer your questions. The number to call, 706-863-5800, 805-10, any Saturday morning from anywhere that you might be. You can also watch the show at ccautoshow.com. And we have some wonderful callers there. And who will we be talking to?
Let's go to Ken.
I think that's perfect. Hey, Ken, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And what can we help you with today?
Okay, I got a real simple question. My grandson has a F-150, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the interstate cruising 65, 70, and it just downshifts. So he has to pull over to the side of the road, shut it off, and start it back up, and it'll work for a few miles, and the same thing happens. So we know that we got to replace the transmission. Which way would you go? Would you get a factory rebuild or a local rebuild or a new transmission?
Ken, has it already been looked at and diagnosed that it definitely needs a transmission?
No.
The reason I say is there's so many inputs that determine what that transmission does. It's a fully electronically controlled transmission, and inputs such as the throttle body, if it has a bad throttle body or a throttle body position switch on the side of it, it can give a false reading as if you were giving it throttle and it thinks it needs to downshift. So the transmission may be doing its actual job. It may be getting a false reading from, again, one of the sensors, one of the inputs to the car's computer, telling it to do that. Like we always say, the transmission, of course, has a mechanical component, several mechanical components, but of course they're electronically driven. There's sensors on there. Say again, if it
input
sees
sensor, output sensor.
Yeah, say if it sees a 5-volt signal coming from the TP sensor, the throttle position sensor, it can think that, okay, this guy's flooring it, so let me go ahead and downshift and, obviously run out the transmission gear and shift to the next one. So there's so many things that it could be. I'd hate for you to put a transmission in it and find out it was something as simple as a throttle body, a throttle position sensor. I say throttle body because that one's made onto it. But
And Ken, what happened when he does that? Actually, the transmission is going to limp home mode. It received a signal that it don't understand, that it says
just doesn't like it.
It didn't like it. It made the computer unhappy. And so it said, I can't take a chance on messing this up and going into first gear, going 80 miles an hour. So I'm going into second gear and make it to where it won't shift, where at least they can limp home. And that's one thing that car manufacturers has done over the years. They used to go in tennis shoe mode.
Yep.
Because when something like that happened, you'd pull over to the side of the road and you were stuck. You didn't go anywhere. Now they go into limp home mode. And with that, you could make it home. You can make it off a 285 interstate if you had to. So it's much, much safer to do that. Now, what happens when you cut that key off and back on? It resets itself to where unless it sees that problem again, you'll be okay. Now,
the only thing I wanted to ask you, Ken, did he mention anything like a wrench light comes on or a check engine light at that time?
No, I don't know that.
Probably did, though, more than likely. Now, I'm going to mention one other thing. Some of those sensors that we're talking about, or some things that can cause that same thing, are in the middle of the transmission. And if that's the case and you got a lot of miles, you probably would be ahead to replace it. Now, I personally would go with either a good quality, high quality, remanufactured, possibly even a factory remanufactured engine, as opposed to a person sitting down and looking at all these parts on a bench and saying, well, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad, and making decisions, and not to mention the extra warranty you get in doing that.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, and that's what we've been doing years and years, and we love it. Because if we do have a problem, we take it out and put another one in, and they usually have like 3 to 5 years warranty,
100,000 miles,
or 100,000 miles warranty. So that's the way I would go if you do need a transmission. But just like John Ryan mentioned, we would highly recommend you having some diagnostics run before doing anything.
Right. Okay, listen, he's got, I think, about 250,000 miles on it.
Yeah, unless it's something just like a easy to change input sensor or something, I would go ahead and no doubt replace it. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on that transmission, but you still
needs diagnostics.
I'd recommend diagnostics, because you don't want to put a new transmission in and find out there's something sending a reading that might mess a new one up. So have it checked out and then move forward.
Okay, thanks a
lot. See, there's no simple question. Thank you, Ken. All right, John Ryan, where are we going to?
Next up's going to be John.
Hey, John, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Well, good morning. I've got a 2001 Dodge Intrepid, which has got a crank no start condition under hot conditions.
So it'll spin over good, but it just won't catch and run.
Exactly.
Is that it? Oh, that's not it. John Ryan did that. Sorry about that. He brought one of our sounds up. Yours goes fast when it spins over, right? Like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah. It spins over normally, yeah. But
okay.
When it's hot, it will not start.
Yeah, we got some good stuff for you. You go first, John Ryan.
John, have you scanned the vehicle for trouble codes or anything like that?
Yeah, the check engine light's not on, but it's showing a code of P0320.
320, okay. So there's
Crank
several.
reference.
Yeah, the crank reference. That particular vehicle has two sensors. It has a cam and crank, and it pretty much has to agree with each other because two things. Well, number one, it should agree if the timing is, of course, in spec, and the timing 2001, so time and belt. As long as everything's in spec, it will fire injectors off. Of course, it'll run and everything. With yours being that you're saying that it only does it when it's hot, correct?
Yeah, and
so
you wait
of course
2 or 3 hours and it'll crank back up normally. It
Right.
might run with a slightly rough idle.
Sure.
For
So
a few seconds.
So assuming that, the timing's not going to jump and then when it gets hot, correct itself or vice versa. So no doubt timing can cause that on vehicles that, that code was present the whole time and it would never run. But on yours, being that it has an intermittent problem, more so hot, I would lean a little bit towards one of the sensors, either the cam or crank sensor. Now, a technician would, of course, scope those sensors, especially when it's hot and it's not, running, of course, to see what kind of square wave signal they're putting out.
And he'd be able to see, he or she would be able to see if it lines up correctly.
Correctly,
also,
yeah. You can overlap them
if they did that.
Exactly. However, that being said, you generally replace both of them at the same time anyways.
If you were working on it yourself,
yeah,
I think what we lean toward is just say, do the sensors.
Yeah, pretty much do the sensor. I mean, again, saying that, if you didn't want to do the diagnostic and you enjoy working on it yourself, cam and crank sensors would be a good start. Does this vehicle have a tachometer?
Yeah, it does.
This is just kind of a random test you can do. I wouldn't necessarily go by this just as a cut in stone, like this is going to fix my car. Just notice when you're starting it and it actually does run. Obviously, the tachometer picks up very quickly. The next time it doesn't start, see if the tachometer reads. If it does not read, that's kind of confirming that one of the sensors is not picking up, the signal. The reason it has a lot to do with temperatures, it is a magnet sensor, and of course, temperature has a lot to do with the magnet. Could have a crack in it. Could become open, when it's hot. Increases the resistance and it not read. So that's the reason why we kind of lean towards those two sensors there, where one of the two is bad, but again, you typically replace them both at the same time.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks.
All right. Let us know how that turns out for you.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
I'm going to mention one thing about the Intrepid. A lot of people really don't realize a lot of the Intrepids do have a timing belt.
Because of the metal
Because
covers.
if you look at the front of the engine, it looks like it would be a chain many times. But they do break. Now, luckily, a lot of those are not interference engines.
I think they're considered
they're supposed to
interference,
be.
but what happens is the belt strips before it ever breaks, so it doesn't ever overlap. So
I know we've had a lot of them towed in for timing belts, and some of them turn out not to bend the valves, which is really good, but you don't want to wait until that time and take that chance.
Yeah.
Let's give a real quick tip, and we'll be it's going to be time to take a break, but we're talking about towing a little bit. One of the things we want to mention is how important it is to keep those mirrors in good shape.
Yeah.
If you tow something that is kind of wide, it's really good to have the wider mirrors so you can see all the way behind you.
Mirrors, yeah.
Good friend of mine, he was towing he didn't tow them very often. You know who this is. Got a U-Haul going up to Kentucky. And when he was pulling around, he didn't know. I told him he needed to swing out real far because I was nervous for him going. And sure enough, didn't swing out, hit the curb at a gas pump because he was getting gas. And luckily didn't hit any kind of pumps or anything like that.
And hopefully your luck's good that he's not listening.
Yeah, that's hopefully not. But having those wider mirrors to where you can actually see all the way back there,
right,
and make sure you're not getting ready to scrape a Mercedes or something like that.
Or run over
the Mercedes can really be helpful. So you want to make sure all of those mirrors are in good shape and clean. And try not to have those blind spots. That way, when you change lanes, you can see a lot easier also.
And a lot of tow mirrors have, of course, two lenses, one for more of a panoramic view, and then one to position to where obviously you can see the load.
Yeah, and all of those can be very, very helpful to do. Okay, we are going to take a break, and when we return, we will be going to Scott, and we will have lots more tips having to do with towing. We'll be looking for answers to our tech tip quiz as we go. We'll read that again just before we go to Scott, as soon as we return with the CNC Auto Show.
Clements and John Ryan Mooney.
Thought twice before I hauled a Barbie doll bed for the girl next door. She tried to pick
And we are back with you with the CNC Auto Show. And we promised that we would read the tech tip quiz again. I won't go through all of the prizes
Fame and glory.
Yeah, everybody knows what they'll be getting. I mean, it's all huge. I mean, it's well known what you'll win if you're a tech tip quiz winner. Changes your life, man.
It does.
Okay. Billy got off work at 10 p.m. only to find out that his 2010 Ford F-250 truck would not spin over. He asked his girlfriend to come give him a ride home on her motorcycle. She came by, hit his truck with her Harley Davidson, and made his truck start. How did hitting his truck with a Harley Davidson make it start? If you know the answer, give us a call. And we are ready to go to who?
Scott. Let's go to Scott.
Hey, Scott, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. What can we help with?
Hey, fellas. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, sir. We have got you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think I heard the other day, the guy called in a while ago about the 2011 F-150 that was downshifting on him.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the other day that Ford was recalling some 11s to 13s with the 6-speed automatic transmission because of that very reason. They were downshifting for no apparent reason, I guess. But I'd heard that they're recalling those. So he may just want to run by the Ford dealership and find out if that's one of the ones under recall.
And that is great for you to mention that. And sometimes on the recall, you can go to the internet and feed the serial number in, and it will let you know if there's any recalls there. I forgot that website address.
There is a government issue.
We will find that website address, but there's ways to do that. Also, you can call. If anybody calls to check on a recall, it's a good idea to have your VIN number, or of course you can go by. But one thing I tell people, if somebody asks me if something is covered under a recall or something like that, and there's any question about it at all, I tell them to call, go by, or go to the internet, because the most they can say is no. There's no charge for finding out, and sometimes it'll surprise you because they did have to extend certain items for a long period of time because they may be a safety issue. So, Scott, we're really glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. Hey, can I give the tech tip?
Oh, absolutely, but we're going to need to put you on stage real quick. You got a second?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can't back down now. You're already up there, Scott, and the lights are on you. And wipe that sweat off your forehead, and let's do it.
I do have some butterflies.
I can tell.
I used to have I used to have a 250, and I started having problems with it starting. And I had a time where it wouldn't start, and I took a ball peen hammer and got up underneath it and hit the starter one time, and it turned over.
Now, Scott, I'm going to tell you something now. You are all over this. You are all over it. But the only thing is, I don't see how she's going to take the Harley Davidson and slide under the car with it and hit the starter and make it start.
And live.
And live
well,
through it.
If she hit it hard enough, she would have jarred it.
That's true.
But Scott, I tell you what I'm going to do. You're going to be able to call back, but I got to be fair to these other people here. I'm going to give a very strong hint right after we hang up, and you have complete permission to call back because you gave the other gentleman such a great tip on calling to check for the recall. Is that fair?
All right.
But
That's
he did
fair.
get this one somewhat wrong, right?
Yeah, he missed it. Yeah, you're going to have to do what you got to do. I can't, Scott, I couldn't stop him. There was no choice. But we just don't have a choice, man. But you be ready to call back because it's going to be a really good hint. Okay. Thank you for the call. Okay. Number to call, 706-863-5800. The tip is Harley Davidson makes a lot more items than motorcycles. Okay, where are we going?
All right, let's go over to Steve.
Okay, Steve, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You are loud and clear.
All right, man. Listen, I've got a 2000 Ford Explorer, and I had a friend of mine put a alternator on it this morning. And as soon as I was leaving the shop, when I pulled out into the road, it was like it was holding it back, vibrating a little bit, and then it took on off. And so I said, well, I don't know what that is. And I went on, and then it's done it 2 or 3 more times. And I called another friend of mine, and he said it may be a belt tensioner. Mm-hmm. That I just don't know what.
Yeah, we're going to let two people answer that one. First, we got another guest that's sitting here. He's going to answer it, and then John Ryan's going to give an answer to it also. What's our first one?
I'll tell you what you do. You just take them dang old spark plugs out, and in that little hole, you just put a little oil around there, just like Bob Youngster says. It's like it go boom, boom, just like that.
I think
I can handle that right now.
I think we got it fixed.
God. John Ryan, what do you think?
So, Steve, what exactly is it doing, though? I guess you said you had the alternator put on it, and what's cutting out? You'd mentioned cutting out.
Well, it's just like when I no, it's not really the power. It just feels like when I give it the gas, like from a standstill. Mm-hmm. When I give it the gas, it feels like it's just vibrating, almost like like if you're going down the interstate,
like a misfiring then.
And you get over on the side of the road, how they have that
strip.
Those strips are supposed to wake you up.
Right.
It feels kind of like that for a second, and then it'll just
clears up.
Catch up and go on.
Does the check engine light flash by any chance?
Nope.
I really feel like
it sounds more like a transmission shutter, but that wouldn't happen because of an alternator.
I just about bet my misfire.
You feel like
and it hadn't been doing it at all.
I do. I feel like it's a misfire.
Did they wash the engine off for any reason?
Not to my knowledge. Not while I was there.
Did they leave the hood open while it was pouring down rain, maybe?
No, I don't know. That's possible.
Now, one of the things that can do that is if coolant or water gets down in one of the plug holes, it can cause a misfire.
Yeah.
Now, what's that? Is there a hose that drips down there on one of those, John Ryan, or something?
that should be the 4-liter 2000.
Oh, okay.
So that's a 4-liter. It's got the central coil, 6 wires.
Uh-huh.
But I just feel like it's a misfire only because he says it clears up. I mean, torque converter shutter is normally the opposite of that. It is the V8, so it's 4.6.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a 5.0.
2000. Oh, okay. So you've got like the limited or something like that, the nicer package.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So that would have a 5-liter, but still, of course, it's going to have individual plug wires. I really feel like it's a misfire just because it of course clears up with speed, whereas torque converter wouldn't show up until speed. I feel like that.
I don't know. Sounds like a coincidence.
Yeah, it sounds like a coincidence.
Then.
Steve, that same shop may be, of course, we would do this, but they may, obviously take a look at it just to verify that all their work is of course, good, and then kind of give you an idea what's going on for sure.
In cases like that, they'll probably work with you. Just tell them it may be a coincidence, but you just didn't feel it before. And a lot of times they may work with you and say, well, we'll help with the diagnostics or something like that and let you know what's wrong. But it does sound like you may have something like an ignition coil, ignition wire, ignition or a plug, something in the ignition system. Most technicians would probably be able to ride around a little bit and let you know what area.
Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate it, but you don't think it's the transmission?
I don't. Just something in my gut says no, but anything's possible. I just feel like more misfire than anything.
That's true. Well, I certainly appreciate y'all's information.
Thank you for the call, and that's all. It's time to close out this hour, but we'll be back with more of the CNC Auto Show.
Live from the Car Care Studios, it's the CNC Auto Show with your personal on-air and online automotive service advisors, Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney. So climb in, buckle up, and enjoy the ride on the CNC Auto Show.
And hello, all of you wonderful car lovers out there, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we plan to share some great information with you that'll make your car, truck, or SUV safer and to make it more dependable and to make it last longer for less money. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you that tuned in or logged in. We really do appreciate you jumping in and riding with us in the CNC Auto Show. We're here to take your phone calls. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. Number 863-5800. Website, ccautoshow.com. You can go there to watch the show live and a lot of other neat stuff there. Okay, we have a super fun show going on with tips on towing sprinkled in, along with lots of other tips. A tech tip quiz is laying on the table, much, much more. And we invited our two guests back to talk about a dream that came true for a father and son. Welcome back to the show, Bart and Brendan Hickey.
How we doing?
Hello there. We appreciate you calling back and joining us. I feel like we're friends now.
Absolutely.
Fellow shop people. John Ryan and I both work in the shop pretty much all day. I'm out there all the time. I love what I do. It's enjoyable for me, and I love talking to people that's got the same passion.
Yeah, for sure.
And now I want to bring everyone up to speed that missed the first part of the show when you called in originally. Bart and Brendan work together at Bart's Auto and Towing in Alsip, Illinois. They both love working on cars, and Bart has been blind since birth, and at that still works on vehicles. And though he's done a lot of things, he had never driven a car, and Bart's dream was to drive, and Brendan's dream was to make that happen. And with the help of Mercedes, which they talked about a little bit at last hour, they made it happen. And Bart, was it what you expected it to be?
Oh, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
I wasn't really sure what to expect, but yeah, it was great.
Well, I was watching the video, and you could tell you were loving that. That was a beautiful Mercedes. I know that was not your Dodge Dart, 69 Dodge Dart, and I know you had kind of wanted to drive that, but I'm going to tell you, you were in an absolutely beautiful car. And
oh yeah,
Bart, tell the listeners how fast you were going.
138.
Yeah, the top speed he made that day was 138, and then the reason that you can't really get above that is, first I do want to say that 2018 AMG GTR, that thing, man. I mean, we talk about technology and that thing. I mean, he punched it. I think you were at 111 on the video. I took my own little Snapchat video, and at 111 is when I go, all right, smash it, floor it. And he smashes it to the floor at 111 miles per hour. And, I mean, it's still, how fast we got up to 138 was pretty quick. And, it's just insane how well it throws the power down.
You could tell you were definitely accelerating nicely even when you punched it at 111.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I said, it just goes to show the technology that they've come up with. I mean, it really throws down the power.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to mention that I watched that video myself at least 10 times, minimum, and probably more. And then we watched it again this morning because I wanted to make sure that John Ryan here had a chance to watch it. But there's over 1 million views. I think it's 1,100,000 and something.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And sorry, not to interrupt you guys, but I do want to mention we were talking a little bit before about the director who kind of helped make all this happen too. He was really passionate and worked really hard for 5 or 6 years, just like us, pushing for this. And finally got the right people at Mercedes. You guys had the wrong link. It was that. Remember we were talking. Mercedes did a first video. The link that you guys have on the Facebook page, that's for the first video. In the comment section, you'll find the correct link. We put it in the comment section there.
Okay, great. That is really good. And so his information will be in there also.
What's that?
Okay, great.
Marcus? Yeah, he commented, I believe, on there too.
Oh, good. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, has this changed anything for you two since that video went public and so many people watched it? Has things happened that you thought were kind of amazing?
I don't know, not really.
Not yet, but we're starting to get there for sure. We're starting to, I can't say who, but we did. You talk about his '69 Dodge Dart. That's kind of what why we said yes to this was because we're kind of hoping it would give us a foot in the door to get that project off the ball rolling on that. And we did have a TV show contact us. Like I said, I can't say who, right? But there's definitely some big names. Big names interested in his Dart project, so hopefully this won't be the last.
Wow, well, I know since it's such a great story, it's just amazing to me. I love hearing stories like this, and it's just been so much fun talking with you about all this. And Bart and Brendan, what's next on the plate? I mean, what's the next goal that you two want to shoot for?
I would
just getting the car done.
Yeah, getting his '69 Dodge Dart done and getting him back out. November 3rd is the anniversary of him driving the AMG GTR, and that's kind of the goal, is to, on or before, have him rolling across the Alvord Desert in his '69 Dart with it all restored, resto-mod, and all that stuff.
Well, I hope I know you will, but I look forward to seeing those videos too. Now, you, Brendan, when I was talking to you, you mentioned that you two may make a trip possibly across the country and going to different places. Is that something that may be on the plate also?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a goal of ours, mine especially. That'd be kind of like my dream, I guess, is just kind of, get his car done and then just, maybe cruise around America, hit up the different states and visit, kind of visit guys like you and just check out the car scenes around the country with the old man,
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. If you do that, would you put Augusta, Georgia on your list of places that you're going to stop and come by and visit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we would really enjoy you being here, because I've just enjoyed so much talking to you, and I'll stay in touch, and of course you're welcome to call me anytime. And Brendan, a lot of people don't really realize the networking that so many auto technicians, not only on a local level, they kind of talk back and forth. Have you run into this before? Have you run into that? Just different things that they do. They share that information in order to do better at what they do, and because of that, they build a bond together. And that's not only locally, but statewide, nationwide, and
international.
That's the reason I felt so good giving you a call. Well, I really do want to say thank you both so much for calling in.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Bart, I can't wait to meet you one day. You come by here.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. And Brendan, I want to say thank you again. And I enjoyed talking the other day on the phone. It was just like talking to a friend down the street. Called, and just on the spur of the moment, he started talking, and we had a great time. So we really do appreciate that, and I look forward to talking to you two more and doing more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and thank you for calling, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, that was Bart and Brendan Hickey from Alsip, Illinois. And they are just a fantastic team together. Yeah, and they enjoy doing car shows at their shop also. I was looking at their Facebook page, and they have a lot of different car shows and do different things. And I thought I saw something about a car that they built and did. We didn't get a chance to talk to them about that, but maybe we'll have them back on again in the near future. Okay, but right now it is time to take a real quick break, and when we return, we will be going to Alexander, and we will also be mentioning our Tech Tip quiz again, our Tech Tip quiz again, and we'll be talking about towing tips on towing things. That and a lot more as soon as we return with the CNC Auto Show. And we do welcome you back to the CNC Auto Show, and we are talking about towing tips. We have some callers. We just had two fantastic guests on the line, and I think probably one of the better things to do now, let's just go to the callers.
All right, let's go over to Alexander.
Perfect. Alexander, thank you for waiting for us, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
You're quite welcome. My question is, can you hear me?
We can. You're coming in great.
I have a 2011 Dodge Ram truck. And I bought some new headlights. And I think I tossed them up as far as where the high beam goes. When I turn on the lights, when I turn on the high beam, it goes to the top. Is this supposed to be in the top or the bottom part of that headlight assembly?
So the high beam, when you turn the high beams on, where are they shining?
they're shining at the top of the headlights.
Yeah, that would be correct. The high beams are for a higher prism of light.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I do have it right then.
That should be correct. Yes.
Yeah, and especially if you were to look at them at night and cut your high beams on, and it looks like they lift up something and go a further distance like that.
Left or right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're able to see a little bit more to the sides of the road. And then you hit them, and it kind of goes down toward the ground just a little bit more. Then you'll know for sure that you have them right. But it sounds
or you could ride around, wait for somebody to flash you.
Yeah,
you could they're on.
You could give somebody some road rage, and then you'll know that they're wrong.
Yeah, I ain't got that kind of money.
For sure.
But I appreciate it because when I hooked them up, I had them backwards at first. I had the high beam at the bottom.
Right.
Now when I take it off high beam, it goes to the bottom of that lamp.
Yeah, that should be right.
The high beam, it goes to the top. Okay.
Yeah, I think you got it now, Alexander. You did great.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hey, I appreciate the call.
All right, bye-bye.
Number to call, 706-863-5800. John Ryan, we promised to give the Tech Tip quiz out again, so we'll do that. Billy got off work at 10 p.m., only to find that his 2010 Ford F-250 truck would not spin over. He asked his girlfriend to come give him a ride home on her motorcycle. She came by and hit his truck with her Harley Davidson, and it made his truck start. How did hitting his truck with her Harley Davidson make it start? A gentleman named James had called earlier,
and he was pretty
and
close.
He was very close, but he missed it. And I told him that I would give a hint that may make it where he could get it.
What was it?
And the hint was that Harley Davidson makes a lot more items than motorcycles. Where are we going?
Let's go over to John.
Okay, hello, John, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. What can we help with?
Hey, Aaron, I just two things. I want to tell you something first, and I want to try the tech tip.
Okay, we're ready.
But, I had my Durango in there. You guys did the replace the spark plugs and the induction.
Yeah.
I got back from Tennessee. I didn't notice anything in the way it ran. It runs, perfect. But I did notice that my mileage went from 24 to 27 miles to the gallon. So that induction service will pay for itself after a while.
All right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I get a lot of comments like that, John, of how doing things like that help. And that's what makes it enjoyable to work with cars, when you feel like you're doing something to help. Like yesterday, as we were working, we had, for some reason, yesterday was the day that we did a lot of transmission services, either total fluid exchange or filters and whatever. And I would look at the fluid that was coming out of these cars, and it was dark brown. The pan was off like a it was a Mercedes. The pan was off of it. The magnets had all kind of little metal inside the magnets that we cleaned off and made beautiful. And we done all these things, and it makes you feel like you did really good, because those transmissions are going to last longer.
Yeah.
And like on yours, John, helping you get better gas mileage. Great feeling, and thank you for that.
Okay, and I want to try the tech tip. I'm probably wrong. But,
okay. Well, if it's wrong, it's wrong, but you can't back out now, John, because you are up there.
Yeah.
They have shoved you up on the stage, and you are there now. Now, you don't have to wear those sunglasses that you have on, but it's okay if you do. All right.
I think you just want John Ryan to blow the horn.
Yeah, pretty much.
But what she did, she gave him a jump start with her Harley Davidson battery start kit.
I didn't know Harley Davidson made a battery jump start kit. So that's let's go and do the thing and get it out of the way for them, because I don't want to. I don't want to. A lot of times, the waiting and anticipating hurts more than the actual going in and do it. Kind of like getting a shot. You know, just go ahead and do it and get it over with, and don't sit there and tell me how much it's not going to hurt and all that. Just do it. Okay, so yours is done.
John Ryan's not getting the Christmas card this year.
That's 2 in a row.
Thanks a lot, guys.
But no, that wasn't it. And of course, I didn't know they had that jump start deal. But that's good that they do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know either. That was a guess.
Well, you're getting much closer. I mean, and it does It's along those lines.
Right.
But I believe James was a little bit closer with the
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
the starter. All right, we appreciate
Talk to
the
you later.
call and talk to you soon. And we are talking about things to do with towing in there. And one of the things that we have here is the weight. If you have a pickup truck, a weight distribution hitch. Now, I'll say that John Ryan is up to date a lot more on these items because he tows with much heavier trailers than I tow with. I normally just tow a regular boat from time to time and things like that. But do the weight distribution hitches make a huge difference?
Oh, big time. I mean, you more or less see those more on like campers and RVs, that kind of thing. On some of the bigger stuff, say you were pulling a tandem axle, I don't know, dump trailer, a lot of the load can be offset by the pickup. You can put airbags on the back to, of course, keep the vehicle level and kind of take some of that tongue weight and of course, distribute it evenly across the truck. So.
Okay, and so from what I understand, you don't have to worry about the tongue weight as much.
If you had the weight distribution kit,
if you have that kit on there, then
right.
Okay.
It's just a torsional bar that, of course, keeps the vehicle and tongue pretty much level.
All right. Now the other thing that we got down here is talking a little bit about different hitches that we'll talk about a little bit coming up. But it's already time to take another break. So we're going to take that break. We'll talk more about hitches and lots more when we return with the CNC Auto Show. And we are back with you with the CNC Auto Show. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you just give us a call. That number is 706-863-5800, and that's on the hours of, that's 8:05 to 10 any Saturday morning, and that will be, you can also listen to the show live, and that's at ccautoshow.com. And we have been talking about towing and different things that you should do or different tips having to do with towing and pulling different things in the summertime. And no doubt a big thing that you may want to have done is have your brakes checked. If you plan to tow trailers and especially very heavy trailers,
right.
And especially if you might even be going to the mountain areas and things like that, have those brakes checked to make sure that they're in great shape.
One thing, too, of course, don't forget that the trailer has brakes and get those checked also.
In a lot of cases, they do. If that trailer has brakes, you want to make sure you have those checked and buy somebody who really knows how to work with the trailer because of the trailer brakes and all of the other things
right.
That's on there. And also have everything lubricated. I remember this was about, I'd say about 2 or 3 months ago. I was going down the road and a car was pulling a boat, and they were directly in front of me, and I was sitting there looking at it. It was plain as day, and boom, one of the tires blew out.
Oh, really?
And I said, that is so bad. The person is probably, it was late in the afternoon. There's no telling how long it'll take to get all that straightened out, get a tire change, find a way to repair it and all this other stuff. So that can really ruin a good trip if you have a flat or something like that.
This is completely random, but that's why I prefer a tandem axle trailer because you can still, limp home, obviously, if you took it off.
His was, and he may have been able to do that. It was a tandem axle that he had, and he may have been able to limp home.
Right.
But I know.
Regardless, yeah.
Of course, he just pulled over, and that was there. Okay, I had something here that I wanted to mention that may be a help to a lot of people, especially those who have cars that they're in the process of restoring or fixing up, and they have things like, let's say you have a speedometer that's bad on the car, and you plan to have everything repaired, but it may be a period of time before you actually get the instrument cluster or things done.
Or it's a part that's discontinued or something like that.
We had a customer like that, and they really didn't want to spend a huge amount of money on that part of the car then. So we did some checking, and online, they make these little bitty displays that you can buy now.
Yeah, that particular one you're holding is a heads-up display also.
Yeah, it'll shine on the windshield where you can watch it. And they're very small, but it works through GPS, and it will tell you the speed of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So, of course, this gentleman, instead, he wanted to get his other stuff like headliner and tires and brakes and a lot of a lot of mechanical stuff in the big heavy stuff that was really bad done as far as the restoring the car, and he really didn't want to spend money on the instrument cluster. So we told him about one of these. He got it, and he really did like it a lot as far as helping him to do that. So if you just go online, you can look under speedometer. There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
and you can that'll do. And that particular one's like $50.
Yep,
that you can get.
And
so,
I know we were talking about boats earlier, but that's also a neat thing for a boat. Especially
really?
if it's a smaller boat. Obviously, say one without an instrument panel.
Yeah.
If for some reason you wanted to know your speed.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that. Oh, and if it's just something temporary, let's say that you're on a trip and your speedometer just goes out and you're caught off guard. You can download an app on your phone that says speedometer and do the same thing. You can have a digital speedometer right there on your cell phone, and that may save you from worrying about, well, am I going over the speed limit or not?
Exactly.
Okay, John Ryan, you want to let's go to the phones?
Yeah, let's go to John.
Okay, John, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. What can we help with?
Well, good morning, Aaron. I've got a general question. I've got a 2003 Chevy S10 pickup. Automatic transmission, and it's got 4 gears in it, 1, 2, 3, and drive. So if I'm driving around town, is it advantageous to drive it in third gear, or should I drive it in drive?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. Honestly, you'd get all the benefits of overdrive. Like you mentioned, if you're driving in town and you're doing 30 miles an hour or something like that, it'll never go into overdrive anyways because of the speed range. But, obviously, even in town, there's speed ranges of 45 and 50 miles an hour to where you would want it to go into drive or overdrive, mainly for fuel economy reasons. If you were towing something that was on the upper end of its towing capacity, yeah, you could drop it down to third. That way you could stay in that RPM range of course, so the vehicle's not lugging down. But normal day-to-day driving in that truck, I would recommend staying in drive just simply because it is geared and it's, of course, it has adequate power to pull it, in overdrive. I would definitely use overdrive.
And that's what I was going to mention. I believe towing would be the exception of when I probably would not, because you'd have a little bit more power for the towing, and towing something may lug it down a little bit when you hit a certain RPM
and stuff like that,
and cause some problems there. But other than that, I think you'd be fine. And that also brings a great time. Oh, and I almost forgot about how this ties in with towing things so much, is remembering when these vehicles are due for a transmission fluid exchange or service, whichever way that it would be done. Because we've been transmissions. Gentleman called earlier. His transmission had 250,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
transmissions can last a really, really long time, but keeping that fluid in good shape is critical on that. So, if somebody plans towing, they maybe pull their dipstick out, and if the fluid looks burnt, if you got a dipstick,
if you have one,
but if the fluid looks sort of dark looking, it's
of course
definitely
John does
time.
have one, obviously.
Yeah.
On the
So you bringing that up reminded me to mention to people about making sure that their transmission is serviced when it comes due.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John. We appreciate that call. Yeah, just like I mentioned before, it was kind of amazing to see that many vehicles coming in during the course of the day yesterday for the transmission services. And there's some vehicles that you look at, let's say a Mercedes or a BMW, or Mercedes or a VW, and you really can't look at the fluid on the stick at all, because the service method for them, there's a special access port in the pan that you have to access to check the fluid level
and have the tool to
tool to do it with. Well, on those, you would think that I was thinking, well, transmission fluid is probably fairly good, but just coming due. Well, the transmission fluid was very, very dark on both of those, and one of them inside the pan, just debris all over the metal debris all over the magnets inside there.
Right.
Both of those had, I think one had 110,000, one had something like 90-something thousand miles.
Right.
And so without question, those transmissions would have caused a problem in a short period of time.
For sure.
If they
and
wouldn't
a lot of the fluid, like you said, the coloration of it has to do with the different materials they're using for clutches too. You know, as clutches wear, they wear. I mean, it's just a fact. And like you said, deteriorates the fluid because of the viscosity in it. The clutches have abrasion too. You know, just like a metal particle would. So it's important to get all that flushed out.
Exactly. Let's go to the call, and then if we'll probably end up needing to put them on hold, but let's
okay.
I have is the air conditioning. Is the fan is on, but no cold air is coming. That's one. And another thing is like when I turn the car on, it just makes it like noise. Somebody say might be a belt or something, and then it goes away after 15 second or something. And it has 125,000 miles.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
I'm Aaron. This is John Ryan, and we missed the first part of you letting us know what might be wrong with your vehicle. Now, we do know that it's got 125,000 miles. We punched the wrong button, but we're going to recover from this because we're going to ask you what your vehicle needs, and then we're going to do the research. Now, what type car is it, and what was it doing again?
It's the Infiniti QX4, 2003.
Okay. And what did it do? How is it acting up with you?
Okay, it works great, and we haven't had service in the longest time because that's just a second car. Don't use that much, and now I'm by myself, and I just don't know where to take it to get it all work done. But the main thing is the air conditioning. There is no cold air is coming. Fan is working, so that's one of the problem I have. And want to know what to do with for that problem or what can be wrong.
Right.
And then the second one, when I turn the car on, it just makes it noise, for 15, 20 seconds, and then it goes away.
Okay. Well, Pat, we're going to answer all of those questions. We're going to tell you the best way to find a shop that you like. We're also going to find out or give you some ideas on what could be wrong with your vehicle. Do you mind holding just a second while we take a quick break?
Okay, no problem.
We will be right back with more of the CNC Auto Show.
Slow down, Jaguar. Keep good, Thunderbird Ford. 10-mile stretch on the Indiana Road.
And we do welcome you back to the CNC Auto Show. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, just give us a call, 706-863-5800, Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10. And that is just like Pat has done. Now, Pat is on the line with us, and a little recap. She has a 2003 Infiniti
QX4.
And that vehicle is giving her a little trouble. When she first cranks it up, it has some noises for the first period of time, and she's asking two questions. One is she mentioned that she's going to be taking care of the vehicle herself now.
Yeah.
And she would like to know what to do in that department and what to do as far as the belts. And Pat, you there with us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna answer the part about the shop first. One of the things you do want to do is find a shop that you communicate well with and that you trust. And that would probably start by talking to some of your friends that you have that have cars similar to yours and ask them where they take their vehicle. Are they happy with where they go? And also, once you do that, once you have some prospects that work on your type vehicles, then you want to give them a call and see if they sound good on the phone. And then when you do that, you want to go in and have something small done to the car. Maybe have an oil change or tires rotated or something small, and look around while you're there and see if it looks comfortable, if you feel comfortable being there, if the people communicate well with you, and then if the pricing is sort of what you're looking for. And then, if that's the case, build a relationship. Now, I did miss one thing. Google reviews are great for helping to find shops. You can go to Google reviews and look through there.
I got two. You can don't forget Napa Auto Care website.
Yes, Napa Auto Care,
and that would be so you could find a shop in your local area. That's for all the listeners, and then same for bgfindashop.com.
Yes, both of those are excellent sources, and you and find a shop that you really feel comfortable with. All right, now once you do that and you've had the small thing done, make sure that they have all of your contact information, and over a period of time you'll start building a relationship with that place. Now, what's good also is for you to learn more about the car, because a lot of this, you're going to be asked to make a lot of decisions. They might say your brakes, you could get another 10,000 miles out of them. Do you want them now or do you want it later? They may mention something on some cars, not yours, but something like a timing belt. But you want to know a little bit about these things so you don't you can make a better decision and you don't get frustrated when they mention stuff. Okay, now that's that part. Did that help on that part of it a little bit?
Yes, and I was just wondering, is your shop do this testing for the air conditioning and check it out and see what that noise
absolutely.
is?
Yeah, absolutely do. And
but the good thing is, too, Pat, I can answer those questions that you have because I actually had that exact car. And the refrigerant, the AC, one of the reasons why it's most likely not blowing cold is because, of course, there's a refrigerant, a gas that, charges the AC. And what happens is, especially if you haven't been driving it like you were describing, that gas can leak just like a tire can leak. And that would be the job of the shop to find out where that leak went. Now, one common spot on that particular one is one of the AC hoses that it leaks the refrigerant out. And, of course, that's why the, AC doesn't cool. The other thing is, if it's squealing, does it sound like a belt screeching or squealing when you start up for the first few, say, 20 seconds, and it goes away? There's an idler pulley. Many vehicles now have a self-tensioning pulley that kind of keeps tension on the belt so that it doesn't screech and squeal like that. Yours is a mechanical adjustment. In some cases, it just needs to be adjusted. If it's been a while and they've never been changed, I know you said this is a backup vehicle, they may need to be replaced. But both those issues that you have are very simple issues and relatively inexpensive to repair. So that that way you'd have a good second vehicle again.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And then I took one place just for the air conditioning, and the guy, he did hook up to charge the Freon, and cold air was not coming. So he said the compressor, that's what is the problem, and he's talking about almost $1,000, and I was just not sure if that's the right way to do it, or...
I wouldn't say that's out of the question, but since it sounds like it may be a new relationship with you building with this person, I would recommend myself a second opinion just to be safe, because you don't want to. This person may be great; they may be absolutely right, but that's a lot of money, and you don't want to take a chance on it being something different than that.
Yeah.
So I would recommend someone looking at it.
And I don't want to say for sure that's not the problem, but I will say that's uncommon on those because those compressors generally lasted the life of the vehicle 300,000 miles. So
yeah,
it's definitely possible. I mean, it could be bad, but it'd just be uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
See, when I took it, he says first of all, he said that pressure is high, so he did release the pressure, and then he was charging the Freon. And that's after that, the no cold air, and he said compressor, and I'm not sure.
See, that could even be a belt-driven fan not drawing enough air across
or
the condenser.
An expansion valve.
You've got some options, Pat. I don't think again, a second opinion, like Aaron said, would probably be its worth.
Usually,
in money,
if the pressure is too high, normally that means the compressor is pumping.
Yeah, it's
because
doing
for
its
the pressure to go up, the compressor's got to be doing something.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I would get a second opinion on that just to be on the safe side. And that don't necessarily mean that the person is telling something that's not true. Sometimes people just don't have all the equipment that they need to be able to accurately let you know what's wrong with the vehicle. So sometimes when you don't feel comfortable, even if you were here and you don't feel comfortable, I like for people to come to me and say, I don't feel comfortable with that, and either we look at it again.
Well, we look at the vehicle together, too, in those cases.
Yes,
you know?
and it's not uncommon for me at all to get on the phone and say, John Ryan, what do you think about this? or him to do that here. So, yeah, I think a second opinion could be very useful for you.
Right. Only thing, just when you by yourself and don't know anything, that's when makes it harder to where to go. So which shop you guys are recommending?
Pat, I think you know a lot more than you're giving yourself credit for.
Yeah, I believe so, too. You're going to do very, very well with that, Pat, because you ask all the questions, and that's what counts. You want to ask those questions, and if the answer don't make sense, keep asking the questions until they do, because you may not know how something works, but you know what makes sense and what don't make sense, and you can you're going to do very, very well with taking care of the vehicle.
Okay. Does it matter which shop I go? Suppose if I want to come to one of your shop, or they all pretty good?
I feel comfortable with every one of them. Matter of fact, I sent them all an email the other day and telling them how happy that it's just a pleasure working with each and every person there. Wonderful people. So any one of them is good.
Do you guys work on a certain place? Maybe since I'm talking to you, I can come to you guys.
We're pretty much strung. Yeah, we're pretty much strung out across all three of them. But yeah, Aaron's downtown, and I'm at the West Augusta.
Yeah,
and Amanda's at the newest store on Washington Road.
Amanda's at the newest store, but she kind of moves around to all of them a little bit also. And Marty, that's on the show every now and then, he's out at on Washington Road also.
Yep, we'll get you covered, whichever one you choose.
Yeah. Okay.
Just tell whoever there you called into the show, and if there's any questions, you tell them to give us a call.
Now, if they say what show, you're in the wrong spot.
Aaron and John Ryan knows about you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, we thank you very much. Oh, that was a great call. I enjoyed talking to Pat, but we are out of time, and we have Patrick on the phone that we probably won't be able to answer. I hope he'll call us back during the week, because that'll be during the week and
or even next weekend, whatever suits him.
Because time clock's on E, and we have to pull over for now. I'm Aaron Clements, co-host John Ryan Mooney, show producers Joe Irick and Sandy Dean, technical engineer Zach Llewellyn. We'd all like to say thank you to all of you that tuned in and logged in to the CNC Auto Show.